So Dumb and Dumber over here just tried to quote-unquote prank the entire internet, and it backfired massively. In the process, they screwed over Jeff Nippard, deceived and exploited another science-based influencer called the Scientific Snitch, and now a ton of people are calling for both Greg and Hussein to be cancelled. Let's get into it. This all started when OG Natty fitness YouTuber Scott Herman uploaded a video on the entire Hussein Farhat fake natty situation, where he pretty much agreed with everything I said and concludes that Hussein Farhat could not be natural. Greg Doucette proceeded to comment on this video, stating that Hussein Farhat was indeed a fake natty and that he would soon be making a video coming clean. Now this comment absolutely blew up, with multiple high-profile individuals within the fitness industry reporting on it immediately. TNF made a post wherein he said, "For everybody that says we already knew this, speculation does not equal confirmation. No matter how sure you thought you were, you did not have confirmation of what Hussein has done and what the time frame was. So yes, this is the first time it's been proven that Hussein is a fake natural." And then proceeded to say, "Greg is being very cryptic about the whole situation, so if this is a quote-unquote troll, it's not a good one. It's straight up lying, doubling down on comments, giving details, harming reputations. No matter what the video says that Hussein releases, this is extremely unethical to say the least." Now the one person that has defended Hussein with 2 high production videos and has caught a ton of flack for it, Jeff Nippard, came out and made a post on Instagram where he admits to have taken an L and that Hussein Farhat is simply not trustworthy. The post read, "Incredibly disappointing. I guess this is where you all get to say I told you so. I'll go ahead and take my big fat L for defending Hussein. For what it's worth, I do think this is most likely a very stupid publicity stunt from Greg to keep people talking about this. But it doesn't matter at this point because now the people like me who thought Hussein probably was natural will join the legion of doubters. I still think Hussein's physique is achievable naturally even if he isn't. But no worries, I'll still hold my L. This stuff really annoys me because it just further feeds into the idea that everyone is a fake natty, which may be closer to the truth than I realized. And now I really regret including Hussein in my video. This stuff causes harm to real naturals who have actually earned an elite physique without gear. Now I had my suspicions this was a publicity stunt from the start. By now I know the type of people Greg and Hussein are. Hussein's never going to admit to using gear, he's way too deep into the lie and way too profitable to stop. And Greg is simply a textbook narcissist who will do anything for some attention. As we just read, both Jeff and TNF also picked up on the fact this could very well be a stunt. The execution was in very poor taste. TNF even went as far as calling it downright unethical. You see, the problem is, Greg didn't just make a quote-unquote troll post. He kept doubling down on it. He made everybody believe it was real, and in the process forced Jeff to make a public post on Instagram. As you guys know, I believe that Jeff already damaged his credibility by defending Hussein Farhat in the first place, and this post really doesn't make any difference to me. But now, his credibility has also taken a hit in the eyes of the opposing camp that actually put their trust in Jeff and believed him when he said Hussein was most likely natural. Whether you believe Jeff Nippard had this coming or not, Greg and Hussein put him in a completely losing position, made him damage his reputation even further, just to build quote-unquote hype for their corny little publicity stunt when Jeff already sacrificed a ton of his own credibility just to defend them in the first place. However, Jeff Nippard isn't the only person they used. Meet the Scientific Snitch, a friend of Jeff Nippard's and a fellow science-based fitness influencer. She posted a reel on Instagram where she reveals she felt bad for Hussein Farhat and reached out to him to offer him a possible explanation he could use for defending his incredibly suspicious rapid muscle growth, namely with a phenomenon called polymorphism, which is what Greg Doucette kept referencing in his original comments. You see, the Scientific Snitch talked to Hussein extensively in DMs where she fully thought Hussein was acting in good faith and went as far as to create an educational video explaining polymorphism, which Hussein said he would use in a video that he convinced her would be genuine. What Hussein and Greg then went on to do was just absolutely make fun of the Scientific Snitch and her theory of polymorphism in their video. Let's first take a look at the reel she posted. Real quick though, before we do that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, as only 22% of you who watched my last video were subscribed. Alright, let's get back into it.
Natty or nots are silly and ridiculous. I despise natty or not drama, but I potentially got myself into a slimy situation for trying to be a good person. Now the information I gave out is being twisted. A little over a week ago, I reached out to Jeff and Greg because I felt bad for all the hate they were getting over Hussein's natty status. Natty status drama is overblown and silly, and I've had a few conversations with Jeff and Greg, and I think they're nice guys. All I wanted to do is provide some potential insight on the situation to help ameliorate the drama. After talking to Jeff and Greg about the impact of genetic mutations on natural muscle growth progress, I told them about genetic testing, and that was the end of the conversation. Not even a full week later, Hussein reaches out to me and asked me to make a 20 to 30 second long clip explaining genetic polymorphisms. I said okay. The video ended up being 1 minute and 37 seconds long, and I asked him to keep it all in, and he said he may not be able to, and assuming he was in good faith, I said that's okay. Now, as you can see by these screenshots, throughout the entire discourse I had with Hussein, I had absolutely no idea he was planning on outing himself as a fake natural, only to use genetic polymorphisms as his excuse for why he kept his muscle. The entire time I thought this was in response response to the conversations I had with Jeff and Greg, and so the entire time I'm saying stuff like, man, I really hate Natty or Not drama, I'm sorry you got yourself into this. I genuinely thought they were potentially making a video on genetic variables and genetic testing. I had no idea they were going to use genetic polymorphisms as an excuse to get out of a fake Natty situation. If I'd known any of this, I would not have made my clip because genetic polymorphisms do not work in the way they're describing. Unfortunately, I wake up to find that Hussein allegedly used gear at the beginning of his fitness journey and that genetic polymorphisms are why he kept his muscle. Again, keep in mind that this is not the context or how I explain the impact of genetic polymorphisms on growing muscle. Now, all that being said, I do have to say that all of this could very well be a publicity stunt, but regardless, I feel rather used in this situation because I was not made aware that any of this would occur.
Alright, so a couple of thoughts first. Natty or Nots within this context are not silly and ridiculous, Ella. This isn't some debate at your local gym about whether some meathead that trains there is natural or not. These are fitness influencers with millions of followers who use their physique to gain the authority to charge people thousands of dollars for one-on-one coaching on the pretense that they have achieved their physique naturally. They are deceiving people for money. So Ella, save me this grandstanding of, oh, look at how mature I am, I don't care about Natty or Not drama, when these people are frauds and scammers and deserve to be called out. Anywho, what Hussein and Greg did here was in reality somehow even worse than what she was afraid actually happened. They didn't even take advantage of her in the sense of using her scientific blabber to explain away Hussein's fake Natty status. Rather, they straight up used her as a gag and consistently made fun of her in their video, while acting in her DMs like they actually took her seriously. Let's take a look at it.
So, we're coming clean. I don't know how else to start off this video. This was a really hard one to do, honestly, which is why I have Greg here with me to help me, navigate this, explain everything to you guys, explain this whole drama, explain what I've done. So you guys have probably seen my transformation, and the steroids accusations around it, and rightfully so. And I just wanted to tell you guys that everything was planned from day one. I decided to hop on here. It was a small cycle, 300 EQ, 300 tests, 300 masterone, a little bit of Anavar and MK as well. And I did this for 16 months.
I was thinking, how on earth did you manage to keep all your gains when cycling off? Because most people that use steroids and they stop, they lose a ton of muscle. Like, trust me, if you go on steroids and you go off, typically you lose a lot of muscle. Now, I didn't know how he kept his gains, but then the scientific snitch, she actually called me on the phone. I had the message. I'm not going to play her message, but she explained how there's certain polymorphisms that allow you to build a lot of muscle despite having a skinnier type physique to start with. And so you look at his before, it wasn't like he was huge. It wasn't like he had a myostatin deficiency, which a lot of people think that Julian had. Who knows? Maybe he has, who knows? But this polymorphism, what it does is it allows you to put on that muscle, and despite being off of said steroids, you manage to keep almost all of the gains, because most people, they could lose half. And so that was what was really shocking, but I wasn't aware of this certain polymorphism. She's like, you could actually test him for this, but it costs a shit ton of money. And I'm like, well, we don't need to test him.
I couldn't afford it.
Maybe it's not 1 in a million, which is the joke, but it's very rare.
It's 1 in a million in the sense of being able to keep the results after a cycle. And, I'm going to keep them for the rest of my life. Hopefully when I'm like, 80 years old, I'll be 180.
Yeah, like who knows? This polymorphism, I can remember she was like A113. You can ask the snitch. She knows more about it than I do.
I'm just here to give a little more context as an unbiased third party. I cannot say whether someone is natural or not, and honestly, I don't care. Both of your parents give you a copy of the DNA instruction manual, but it's possible to hold 2 copies of one or both of these gene variants and be significantly more genetically blessed to build muscle and strength.
Likely, you just managed to keep all your gains. It's almost like that polymorphism allows the androgen receptors to continue to grow or at least maintain for years in the future, where most people would get shut down, they would lose a lot of muscle, they would just feel shitty.
Do you think the polymorphism also helped me keep building muscle because I'm a bit bigger than when I was?
Yeah, I think that your androgen receptors have just been permanently changed, and you can just continue to grow year after year. Who knows? You might be so rare that maybe you'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then like 5 years from now, you're like 200 pounds instead of like 180, and competing, because you do plan to compete in a...
Probably Anabolic Sick is going to react to this, and he's going to be like, oh yeah, I was right.
The catabolic twig was right after all. You can't be mad at me.
No, you didn't know.
Like, how would I know about polymorphisms?
Yeah, I didn't know.
I didn't know you could go on gear and keep all the muscle that you gain. I guarantee Ronnie Coleman has some form of a polymorphism. He's a 1 in a billion. You know what, Julian? I would also have to say polymorphism. Maybe there's polymorphisms for Turk Builder Max and this, and that not everyone has it. 4 whole pounds. Yeah. Yet there's people that gain more than that on creatine, but they probably have specific polymorphisms for creatine.
That is true.
Same thing applies for steroids, for terpestrone, and so I think we've gotten a huge leap forward in the understandings, the science behind growth. So I would hope that Jeff Nippard, Mike Israel, who else would do some video on this? The scientific snitch.
Yeah.
She could do one, talk about the poly, because man, it's above my head. She's really smart into scientific.
Yeah.
She knows this kind of stuff.
Figured it out.
Yo, these guys are scumbags. No, that's funny, I kinda rate that, This girl, the scientific snitch, tried to rub shoulders with scumbag fake natties, tried to give them an out to explain away their fake nattiness, and then they went ahead and turned on her and proceeded to use her as the butt of the joke for the entire video. That's cutthroat right there. It's truly a dog-eat-dog world out here, man. Listen, Ella, if you're watching this, as a self-taught psychiatrist, I can tell you that this was obviously to be expected because they're narcissists. Narcissists narcissists, and by extension sociopaths, which you'd kind of have to be to effortlessly lie like this, will use anyone that they can use as pawns and then simply discarded them afterwards. This guy Hussein slid in her DMs all friendly and nice to trick her into making a video about this polymorphism bullshit, just to turn around and use her as the butt of the joke in their video. I genuinely feel bad for her, you know, she seems like a really nice girl, but at the same time, she also tried to give Hussein a possible explanation to help him lie about being natty, just cause she felt quote unquote bad for him. Well, this is what happens when you try to cozy up to narcissists and liars. Yo, these guys are actual scumbags. Now, the backlash on this video was unlike anything I've ever seen before. If the like to dislike ratio doesn't say enough, just take a scroll through the comments if you want to see it for yourself. Internet celebrities like supporter of this channel, Gideon, have even come out against this video. There is not a single comment in support of Greg and Hussein, and rightfully so. After this entire stupid stunt, Hussein appended a clip of him in his hotel room reacting to all the backlash. Let's take a look at it.
Alright, so everything you just saw in the last video with Greg was a joke. It was planned to be a video where me and Greg make fun of everyone that's saying that I'm not natural because it just doesn't make sense, alright? That was the whole point. We're talking about polymorphisms. We're talking about me being on gear for 16 months and hopping off and keeping all the gains. It doesn't work that way and doesn't make sense. And the whole point was to show how dumb it is by us being extremely serious the whole time to just make fun of the people that are talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't tell from the obvious sarcasm that they were making fun of scientific snitch in that video, here you have Hussein just flat out saying it.
And honestly, like, I feel like they're getting paid to make videos on me and saying that I'm not natural.
Yeah, you figured it out, bro. I'm actually the one that's been paying people to come out against you. I actually went to the Nipsey Islands to secure funding from the Rothschild family to do all of this.
I've tried everything in my power to show that I'm a lifetime natural. I'll look into this camera and say, I've never done any sort of steroids, I've never done any SARMs, any peptides, nothing. The thing is, Greg made a comment on a video and he said that I was gonna film that video soon and it was gonna come out. And that's when, literally today, all of the people that I know, like Connor, Jeff, TNF, made a video on me saying that I'm not natural with absolutely no evidence. It's just a comment of Greg, but just Greg saying that I'm not natural, everybody believes it.
Yeah, do you understand what that means, you numbskull? It means that all your friends, Connor, TNF, and Jeff, all deep down knew that you weren't natural and immediately believed you were a fake natty just based off of that comment. No one believes you, dude. They're just trying not to burn bridges.
After everything that I've tried to do, passing blood work, I've offered $100,000 for whoever wants to come and test me for a full year if they want to. Anabolic stick, offered him this and he didn't show up, kind of p***ed out, which is fine. Connor offered to pay for all of the blood works, all of the tests for the next year, and he didn't show up.
You little weasel, you keep perpetuating this lie. I've had to repeat myself like 5 times in these videos by now. I tested Connor a list of stipulations of what I would require testing wise if I were to show up and be a part of it. Connor kept dancing around this and told me to just show up for one test and then we'll see what we'll do afterward. Hussein, you never agreed to my list of stipulations, yet say that I'm the one that chickened out. You're genuinely a pathological liar. Connor never gave me assurance or any plan that he was gonna follow these stipulations. You little lying weasel. You have never accepted these stipulations, which are, by the way, the only way to remotely come close to actually being able to test whether someone's natty.
But again, that was the whole point of the video initially, was just to make fun of people. And now I guess we're seeing like people's true faces. I guess everybody's coming out now and they're against.
Why is he acting like Connor Sinan, Jeff Nippard, or TNF owe him any loyalty?
Hussein is a lifetime natural. I know of no polymorphism. This is a made-up word that I don't even know what it technically means. I said it so many times in the video. Now, one thing I did was I posted a comment on, I forget the guy's name. He has over 3 million.
This is such a small detail, but such a perfect signifier of Greg's true character. Greg knows very well who Scott Herman is. He's an OG in the industry, and him and Greg have talked many times over the past years, and Scott said they even made videos together. But now suddenly he's just some guy whose name he can't remember. Also, it's so funny to me how he says polymorphism is a made-up term after the scientific snitch made a whole video explaining it to them. They really do not take her seriously. I'm telling you, man, they're scumbags. Anywho, that was it for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe. More videos coming soon. See you guys in the next one.